The Queen's beloved daughter-in-law Sophie Wessex appeared tearful as she joined her husband Prince Edward to watch their children take part in the vigil on Saturday night. Sophie, 57, who had been described as the Queen's rock and her second daughter, appeared emotional as she observed the 15-minute ceremony in Westminster Hall. Her daughter Lady Louise Windsor, 18, and James, Viscount Severn, 14, joined their cousins Prince William, Prince Harry, Zara Tindall, Peter Phillips, Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice to stand guard over the Queen. The Countess of Wessex and Prince Edward looked on, the only senior members of the royal family to do so. She was present last night as Prince Edward took part in a separate vigil with his siblings King Charles, Princess Anne and Prince Andrew. Sophie also observed the first vigil in Edinburgh last week, making her and Edward the only senior royals to be present for all three. The Countess of Wessex has been a constant presence since the death of the Queen, making a number of appearances to thank well-wishers across the country. It has been reported that Sophie will also inherit a number of patronages held by Her Majesty. It will be seen as a reflection of both the close relationship the two women shared, and of the increasingly senior role she holds within the royal family. Tonight, she and Edward watched on proudly as their children took part in the solemn ceremony. Brothers William and Harry, both dressed in uniform, stood guard at the Queen's lying in state in Westminster Hall on Saturday evening as a stream of mourners filed past after queuing for hours. Prince Harry, who saw action on the front line during 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan, has previously been denied the chance to wear his military uniform as he publicly mourns, because he is no longer a working royal. But royal sources said the king decided his youngest son could wear uniform for the vigil. Despite being a former army officer, Harry has been in civilian dress for official events this week, including walking behind the Queen's coffin on Wednesday. On Saturday evening, Prince Harry was wearing the Blues and Royals, No. 1 uniform, KCVO neck order and star, Afghanistan Operational Service Medal, Golden, Diamond and Platinum Jubilee medals and Army Pilot Wings. Prince William was wearing the Blues and Royals, No. 1 uniform, the Garter Sash, the Garter Star, Golden, Diamond and Platinum Jubilee medals and RAF Pilot Wings. The brothers were joined in their silent tribute around the coffin by cousins Zara Tindall and Peter Phillips, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, and Lady Louise Windsor and her brother Viscount Severn. The young royals, led by Prince William, were in position at the top of the Grand Committee staircase in the corner of the vast hall at 5:58 p.m. At 6 p.m., the tapping which signifies the changing of the guard sounded and William began walking down the steps, one at a time, followed by Harry, then Beatrice and Eugenie side by side, Louise and James side by side, and Zara and Peter also side by side. Silence fell as members of the public looked on, with the only sound being the grandchildren's footsteps on the stone. Prince William was positioned at one end of the coffin, facing the north entrance, while Harry was positioned at the opposite end, facing the area of the hall where thousands of people have entered over the last few days. The Prince of Wales stood with his hands clasped in front and his head bowed. Harry, who served in Afghanistan as a British Army officer, wore civilian clothes earlier in the week as the Queen's coffin left Buckingham Palace because he is no longer a working member of the royal family. He and his wife Meghan quit royal duties and moved to the United States in 2020. The King, however, requested that both William and Harry wear their military uniforms at the Westminster Hall vigil. Members of the public continued to file past while the Queen's grandchildren stood guard, with some women wiping tears away from their face as they left the hall. At 6:15 p.m., the tapping sounded and the grandchildren ended their vigil. Prince William led the group away from the coffin, followed by Zara and Peter, Louise and James, Beatrice and Eugenie, and finally Harry. Saturday's vigil followed one on Friday in which the Queen's four children, Charles, Anne, Andrew and Edward, stood vigil at the coffin. Edward Said. The royal family was overwhelmed by the tide of emotion that has engulfed us and the sheer number of people who have gone out of their way to express their own love, admiration and respect for our dear mama. On Saturday, the new king was holding audiences with incoming prime ministers, governor-generals of the realms and military leaders. The lying in state continues until early Monday morning, when the Queen's coffin will be borne to nearby Westminster Abbey for a state funeral, the finale of 10 days of national mourning for Britain's longest reigning monarch. After the service Monday at the Abbey, the late Queen's coffin will be transported through the historic heart of London on a horse-drawn gun carriage. It will then be taken in a hearse to Windsor, where the Queen will be interred alongside her late husband, Prince Philip, who died last year. Hundreds of troops from the British Army, Air Force and Navy held an early morning rehearsal Saturday for the final procession. As troops lined the picturesque path leading to Windsor Castle, the thumping of drums echoed in the air as marching bands walked ahead of a hearse. London police say the funeral will be the largest single policing event the force has ever handled, surpassing even the 2012 Summer Olympics and the Platinum Jubilee in June celebrating the Queen's 70-year reign.